Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So at the time of this recording on Sunday, December 13th, the Saints have just lost their first game with Taysom Hill as the starting quarterback. And I've been sitting on this question for a while now, but I feel like maybe this was a good time to talk about it after 4 weeks of him being the starter. Can Taysom Hill be the long-term starter for the Saints, or does it need to be someone else? I'm going to dive into this question in depth, and make sure to leave your thoughts on this topic below. Let's get into it. Let's just talk about how Taysom Hill has played first. In the 4 games that he's been the starter, he's thrown for over 200 yards 3 out of 4 times. He's thrown for 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's got a fumble lost and everything like that. And he's got 4 rushing touchdowns in 4 games. So to me, I feel like Taysom Hill has played fairly well in the 4 games. They have not played anyone super elite or of just a super good defense, and I understand that. But I feel like he has been a lot better throwing the ball than we anticipated. Especially, or at least for me, that I anticipated him to be throwing, because we've only seen him in a very gadget capacity, trick plays, kickoff, punt, everything like that. That's how Taysom Hill was used. Even at BYU when he was a starting quarterback full-time, he just wasn't a super great thrower of the ball. Great athlete. I mean, he ran for oh my gosh, he had a crazy game against Texas one time. But, we just weren't sure. And it's going to be interesting because obviously when Drew Brees comes back, he's going to Taysom Hill's going to go back to the bench, and Drew Brees is going to be the starter, and Taysom Hill's going to go back to his gadget role. But at the same time, this might be Drew Brees' last season. His last season might be next season. So you got to start thinking long term and the future at that position for the Saints. Who are you going to go with? Because quarterback play is at an all-time high in the NFL, and it's super important. So you got to make sure that you're always ready with your quarterback game plan. So to me, really, there are 3 options of who's going to be. It's going to be Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, or someone that they draft within the next 2 drafts, which that seems obvious. But let me just break down each choice and then who I believe will be the long-term starter. Let's start with Taysom Hill, who got the starting nod after Drew Brees' last injury. So Taysom Hill is 30. He's never been the starter before on any team at any capacity in the NFL before this last 4-game stretch. Like I said, he's mainly been used for gadget plays and everything like that. But I think out of all these possibilities, I think he's got one big factor that is supreme above everybody else, and the fact that he's got Sean Payton's trust. Taysom Hill's been Sean Payton's little project, his little pet, since the day he drafted him. Sean Payton's the one that lobbied to sign him to a 2-year, $221 million extension this past offseason. Sean Payton's the one that's always defended Taysom Hill, gone to bat for him. So I think that's going to play a big factor in the decision of who it's going to be. I think at 30, his upside is limited, but if you give him more time to practice being the starter, I think he can improve more and more and more. I don't think he'll ever be an elite quarterback, but if he's serviceable, the rest of the Saints roster is so good. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, those guys are all good. They're all going to be there for the foreseeable future. So Taysom Hill, as long as he's serviceable and doesn't turn the ball over, he could definitely work, and New Orleans can win a lot of games. Next is Jameis Winston, who they've got on the roster right now. He's been the starter before. He was the number 1 overall pick in 2015. Jameis Winston has some strengths and he has a lot of weaknesses. He's got a great arm, big body, prototypical NFL build, but he's not a great decision maker. Last season, he had 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. First player in NFL history to ever do that, if I'm correct. And I think under Sean Payton, who is a better offensive coach than Bruce Arians, I think that maybe he could work. I definitely could see him being less aggressive and more cautious with the ball than he was in Tampa Bay, with some better coaching, some better structure, and all that around him, and not really a lot of pressure to be the number 1 overall pick and everything like that. I think that he could work just fine. I think he can do some different things that Drew Brees can't and Taysom Hill can't, but there are some things that He can't do that. Taysom Hill and Drew Brees can do. So I think it's definitely interesting, and he's definitely an option. They would have brought him in without thinking about this long term. And then a quarterback within the next 2 drafts. I know the Saints are not in any sort of position to get a guy like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, but maybe if they could get Mac Jones or Kyle Trask or Zach Wilson or someone like that this year, if they want to draft a quarterback this year, or if they're just going to go with Taysom or Jameis Winston for next year and they pass, they could get I don't know who the late to mid round, first round pick guys would be because that's where New Orleans is going to be. But guys like Sammy Howell, Keldon Slovis, I don't think they'll be in a position to draft those guys. But a top quarterback prospect in the draft 2022, I think that if Sean Payton got the pick, he could tutor. He could, maybe get one of those long-time career backups that's really good with young quarterbacks, whoever that may be. Maybe it's Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and this young guy, or, whoever the combination is. But I could totally see that happening. If there's someone that they really feel like is very similar to Drew Brees, then they could go ahead and pick them. You never can tell. There's always risers. Mac Jones and Kyle Trask were not even close to being first-round picks coming into this year, and now almost done through college football season, and they're going to be for sure first-round pick quarterbacks. But with all that being said, what do I think is the most likely option out of these 3? If I had to rank them, I would probably go Taysom Hill, college quarterback, and then Jameis Winston. I give Taysom Hill the biggest edge because, like I said, he is Sean Payton's little pet and everything like that. He's been in the building. He's been in the system. He's been everywhere. And you can just start him until his contract runs out, and if it's going good, you re-sign him. And if you don't, you just draft a new quarterback. But I feel like the fact that he's getting paid, 21 divided by 2, that's like 10.5 or something. So $10.5 million a year. So, it's not just like a cheap quarterback on a 1-year, $2 million deal. He's on a legit NFL contract. So, he's there. You're paying him. You might as well play him. And then next, I would pick a college quarterback. And it was real close between a college quarterback and Jameis. But Jameis is on a 1-year deal. And if another team feels like after learning from Sean Payton, Jameis Winston can be viable again, then he would probably leave for more money, and then therefore he would not be the Saints starting quarterback because he would not be on the roster. So I would give a fair shot to a quarterback that they draft in 2022. I do think Taysom Hill can be the starter long term. I don't think he'll ever be elite or anything like that, and they would definitely take a dip, but they could still win 9-10 games with Taysom Hill at quarterback and just continue to build the rest of the roster around him. So thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you leave your thoughts on whether Taysom Hill can be the starter long term. If you don't think he can, who do you think will be? Make sure to like this video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell so you never miss out on any of the fun. Check out the link content. You have a great day.